Good morning. Welcome to the Building Coordinator Quarterly Meeting for November 2017. I'm Jackie Vargas. I appreciate you being here this morning. We are in a different location. Everybody's really used and familiar to Famous, but it's good to shake it up and kind of move things around and get some other buildings, it helps show off all of the cool buildings we have. But we're not moving permanently here. It's just kind of how it happened. So let me go ahead and, let's go ahead and get started. On the agenda and on the slide right now, it looks like we're going to have Jean LaMontagne, but we're going to actually squeeze in Mike and Carl and Jeff or whoever's going to come and speak about a couple of issues, and then also the winter outages. So let me pull up your information.
Okay, to start off on a positive note, I don't need to do anything.
Well, it'll help. And this is picking up for the recording, but if you just want to pass this off, that way you're part of it.
On a positive note, I want to say go Astros. How many of y'all knew when you went to bed Sunday night that you were going to be experiencing one of the hottest weeks in November in history? Raise your hand. How many of y'all knew that 3 months ago when we planned this project? Because I want you on the long-term planning team. So as y'all know, we have electrical upgrades going on at the substation. And as part of that, we had to curtail some of the power coming back to campus, to the central plant. We sent out a notice that you're going to be experiencing some electrical blips in some of the electrical outages momentarily in some of the buildings, and that all of the systems would be affected. One of the things we probably failed to communicate clearly was that the temperatures in the buildings would be affected as well, because we're not able to push out as cold water as we normally do. We had to raise that threshold just a little bit. The thresholds in most of the buildings are 72 to 74 degrees, and right now we're pushing out about 50 degrees, 52 degrees. So that 4-degree temperature swing isn't really noticeable if we've got 50% humidity, but when you have 80 and 90% humidity and it's tough to move the moisture from the air, it feels a lot stickier. And so that's what we're feeling on campus. A lot of the buildings we went into yesterday, the average temperature was between 75 and 76. And that's a little warm, but it's not unbearable if you're on my side of the phone. If I'm on your side of the phone, it is unbearable. So that's the situation that we have right now. I don't know how we can convey that any better than me getting up here and telling you guys that. So when you go back to your buildings, let them know that we're aware of the situation. We're trying to control it as best as we can. But we're so far down the line in the project that if we were to try to stop it, it would take about 2 days to recover to get back where we should be, or it'll take 3 days to finish it and then wrap up the other things, which is in the rest of the week next week. So we're hoping for cooler weather. I don't know that that's coming, but we're doing everything we can in the central plant to lower the temperatures at night, so when you come into the buildings in the morning, it should be nice and cool. It may warm up during the day. It's not going to be hot. It'll still be in that 76 range, but it's not going to be what I'd say unbearable. One suggestion that I did hear from somebody, maybe we let the different campus or the different buildings say that, if you wanted to wear summer clothes this next week, that would be acceptable, because it is going to be warm and a little stuffy in there. But we're trying our best to do what we can.
So for those of you who don't know me, I think I met some of you at the last building coordinators meeting. I'm the new executive director for facility services. And the central plant and the electrical guys all work for me. And I just want to say first that I'm deeply sorry that you caused the inconvenience that we had. It certainly wasn't intentional. We really felt like we had a good handle on what was going to go on this week, and Mother Nature kind of changed it for us. We are working really to try to make that better. What I've asked is to get back to your buildings today, get a sense of how things are working. Let us know if what we've done has helped at all. May not be a perfect solution, but here's where we stand. We have an old and aging infrastructure. We have a growing campus community, and our concern is very long term. So we can control the outages when we plan them, take electrical systems down to rebuild our infrastructure. The alternative is it fails when we're least expecting it, and we're not prepared to deal with the ramifications. So it's kind of a trade-off, and I know you didn't get much say in when we were going to do that trade-off or what temperatures you were going to endure in your buildings. My hope is that you can bear with us, understanding that we're trying to make the campus better and improve reliability and redundancy so that we don't have to deal with this kind of thing in the future. So with that said, please keep us informed. If your temperatures get too out of hand, let us know, because we want to see if what we're doing is having an impact. Like Mike said, it's real easy for us to sit on the other side of the phone and say, 76 isn't that bad. But, if you're in an old limestone building that doesn't have any airflow, 76 probably feels like 86. So we understand what you're going through, and we're trying to make it better.
Now the electrical outage.
Good morning. So this first slide we have up here, we've met and talked about the winter outages that are coming up December 27th through the 29th. And along the way, kind of mentioned that we were waiting to hear on some possible increase of impact on buildings with some FP&C projects that are going on. And although we don't have the project manager for FP&C here this morning, I did hear commitments and communication in their projects that they were going to proceed with some additional work during that time period. Kind of separate from what facilities is doing, but I went ahead and redrafted what those impacts would look like. And it all pertains back to this subfeeder 1 and 2 work again that impacts about 17 or 18 buildings on campus. So the meetings we held prior to with FS, building coordinator meetings, showed these group of buildings, some of them only going down for one day and some of them with some light utility switching. If FP&C proceeds with what they need to do on those subfeeders along with what we're doing, this is what that impact will look like. Basically, those 17 buildings will be down without power for 3 days, 3 consecutive days. I was hoping that they would be here to confirm and commit to that, but at least this is what that plan looks like if it does happen. And we're planning for it to happen. I know Dean's working on just getting finalized and commitment from the contractor. As soon as we can get that confirmation from him, we will set up more meetings again, right? Like we did the last ones, just to listen to concerns in the buildings, and if there's anything we can do to alleviate some of that for y'all. So this would be day 1 on this group of buildings. How do we change the slide? Oh,
No.
Much like I did the other one, I give a daily update, basically 7 a.m. in the morning on all these schedules for the building impacts. So highlighted in yellow would be that batch of buildings that's on subfeeder 1 and 2. So on the 28th at 7 a.m. at that point, you're still in your outage, still 36 hours to go till we restore power at 7 p.m. on the 29th. The rest of these buildings are short duration impacts. And this has to do with the maintenance that we're performing at the substation in the central plant. Hasn't changed really from what we talked about before in the previous building coordinator meetings. So on this list of buildings on the 28th, you'll see a 2 to 3 second power interruption for most of them. That's just us doing utility switching. It'll occur in the morning at 7 a.m. and then you'll experience a second one once we're done, and we have to put everything back in the evening around 6 p.m. Agnes Arnold here. This is another FP&C project that's going on with the fire sprinkler upgrade and the abatement in the building. And I have heard commitment from FP&C, and I think Jennifer Brasher is working directly with the building coordinators and Agnes they're in need of a 2-day outage, 36-hour outage during that time period to start on the 28th. 29th, 7 a.m. update, still 12 hours to go on these 17 buildings or so. New batch of buildings that will be impacted the next day with our preventative maintenance that we're doing at the plant and substation. Again, short duration switching in the morning at 7 a.m. and again at 6. Agnes Arnold update, still 12 hours left to go. Power should be restored there at Agnes by 7 p.m. As well as the 17 buildings. The 30th, I just got it on here in case something happens. Weather delays or unforeseen condition makes us run over on our schedule. That we got the 30th there as a backup, and that'll be something we'll have to work with facilities communication that if we blow our schedule for being done by Friday 7 p.m. or the 29th 7 p.m. We'll run into that morning. That's basically it. Any questions or concerns? Yes, ma'am. No, I mean not from my standpoint. You know, we're switching breakers and things like that at the plant, and you know how it affects equipment downstream. There's really no way to tell or control of that. If you've got sensitive AV equipment or sensitive electrical equipment or lab equipment, surge protection. You know. Everybody hears it in your own home. You're going to go buy a $3,000 TV and just plug it in a wall socket without a surge protector on it. And, get a lightning strike or something like that's going to fry it. So surge protection is one way to help those highly sensitive pieces of equipment. And nothing happened out of the ordinary on our end that we could tell.
Those are usually plugged into outlets.
They are.
Make sure you have certain protection.
Well, most panels, you know, in a commercial building, you put surge protection protecting it at the panel, but it's protecting upstream of that. So surge protection downstream at an outlet level usually comes in the way of, you know, the small strip surge protectors, things like that. Yep. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
think
probably
we-
for the next decade.
I think we've said that in the last 3 years. It's coming again next year. You know, one thing about this large outage and increasing the impacts on the subfeeder 1 and 2 during this time is, you know, incorporating the things that we see coming from FP&C. Part of what's making this impact greater than what we talked about a couple weeks ago is the need for them to tie in the new cabling and system that they've installed, right? Another thing coming up is the quad's demolition. They've got a fair amount of reworking the electrical feed over at the building. If we don't try and coordinate those two separate things while this is going on, then you're going to face those type of outages some other time throughout the year. It could be 2, maybe 3 more times, and they would still be 2 or 3 day full building outages across the board. So we're trying to really coordinate, you know, 2 or 3 different projects going on to make it happen at this one window.
Well, and another thing, a question for you is, you know, we're looking for ways to make our grid more resilient and redundant. Right now, we're dealing with a system that, in many cases, is 60 years old, well past its life. And in addition to that, the design of that network, or that grid, was built for a much smaller community. So often, things were done to tie buildings in, but there was no thought to, well, what happens if I need to do work on this building? Well, now it impacts the whole cluster. We're working to try to improve that situation, but it takes a lot of time and even more money. It's not like a brand new building like this, Oh, yeah, we must build a building. Nobody wants to wait for places for water, electrical. So we're kind of doing a lot of those issues.
On the maintenance for the outage, we try to do half of campus. While you'll see an outage, we're working on different things. Just think about it. So we don't have to take a good campus.
Yeah, and during these emergency generator systems, systems in operation, it's 3 day period.
I would also stress the longer we delay this, the more racing against it. At some point, this is it's much better because Sure.
I thought that was Moody.
Go ahead, performance hall.
I know, but that, I thought the steam outage was only Moody. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. Can you shoot me an email, please? I'll write it down, but if I have an email, it stays forever.
Well, fix it doesn't increase it. Fix it doesn't cost it.
Yeah, I call it the technician. So, and that was on the 22nd. Was that a Sun? That was a Sunday. The only steam outage I'm aware of is in Moody. Uh huh. Yeah. Well, you're not charged for that. It's if we have to come out and do well, not for the phone call.
And I'd like to say, if there's ever
Not for the
a
phone
situation
call.
where you experience that, you are more than welcome to text me or call me. And say, like, we're not getting it. So just everybody, know that you can get it.
So, I just didn't know, like, this computer down so that's about it. But, I just don't know.
Absolutely. But that's by design. No, I don't understand why the steam in one building would affect yours because you're not connected. I mean, on the steam loop going in the tunnels, yes, you are, but not. But you shouldn't have been capped off where you are. So let me look into that, and I'll get you an answer.
No, yeah.
No, we understand.
They're not gonna.
Valves get stuck.
So they may not have.
So,
Well,
so somebody
Comfort
needs
heat
to
might
check
still
that
be
out.
Yeah, what you may have So the steam, what the steam does in a lot of these buildings is it moderates the cold, right? So it mixes with the cold air and raises the temperature. So what may happen, your steam may still be running right now. An issue, so we'll have some-
When I say call me, I don't know what's going on. What I can do is communicate with them, okay, there's a timeout, and we talk about
And we get
the solution. If they can maybe help us, we get that communicated to the tech.
We put it, like, we're putting it, we're trying to do it.
And we appreciate that. Well, one of the side benefits of the work orders, but I hate to go off of this topic, is we can go back and check what was happening, the calls, the number of calls we get at a building, and if it's the same system, we're getting the same calls, either we're not fixing the problem or we've got a systems problem that we need to address. So we use those work orders for a lot of things. It's not just a ticket that we came out and saw you and then you signed and left. We use that on, we've got a KPI meeting that we have once a month, and we go back and we delve into the data very deep to see what's going on in the building. Are we getting redundant calls in the same system, the same building? If we're not sending the right person to fix the right problem, then we've got a system problem we need to address. And we give that back to FP&C to help plan projects to correct that. So we use that information a lot. So we really rely on the work orders and the surveys. I know Jackie and them talk about them, but we use those surveys to find out how we're doing, what we're doing. If it's good, bad, or ugly, we need to know because we have to have all that data. If we get just all bad data, that skews it. If we get all good data, that skews it. We want to know everything because we can't fix it if we don't know it. We'll look into yours. Mhm.
Next Friday.
Next Friday. It's the whole building's affected, but the way the systems are tied in, the common areas are conditioned different than the rooms, and I can't go into explain all the details. Every building's a little bit different because of the way they were designed. But what we're finding is when we go into the common areas, it's very nice. But if you go into actual suites or offices, then they may not have as much air flowing into them as they do in the common areas. And so we need to go back and look at that. So one of the things we can do is an air balance test. If we have a lot of work orders or complaints about those, then we go back and we do that. We're doing that on a couple of buildings because of this outage. We noticed in the halls we were getting 74 degrees. We walk into the offices at 76, and it's just right on the other side of the door. You'd see 4 groups of offices with no temperature control, and then on the other side, every office has a temperature control. So,
And let me just clarify. Nothing is there's not an outage going on necessarily. What's going on is we're working on one of our circuits. So the campus has 3 circuits that feed the campus. We're working on one of those circuits. So we had to shift the electrical load from that circuit and split it between the other 2. And what that's causing us to do right now is dial back how much power we can use. And unfortunately, our chillers are probably the biggest consumption equipment on the campus. And so we've brought another chiller on today. So we're pushing out more chill water. We're hoping that that's going to have an impact on what everybody's experiencing. Let us know if it doesn't, because we'll try to do some more stuff to see what we can do. But we're pushing the temperature of that chill water way down at night.
Mhm.
So hopefully, as temperatures heat up during the day, it has an impact on how hot the building gets and how fast, and it gets us through the day, and then we get that cycle again at night. So we'll have somebody come and look at me just to make sure that we're not missing something. Any other questions?
all right, thank you guys.
Okay, so we just talked about winter outages, and I just wanted to explain that the actual notifications are going to be a little bit different. Instead of just having it based on the building and just have the building, it's going to be by the day. So we talked about that in our meetings, but I just wanted to clarify. That's why Carl's done a really good job of doing it on the spreadsheet, the attachment that's going to be on the notifications. But during the winter break, every day we'll have a different list of all the buildings that are impacted that day. So it's just a little bit different, and I wanted to make sure y'all remember that that's how it's going to be. We're going to go ahead and send an email to all the facilities, FBC and FS, to make sure that we have a good, solid list compiled of all the projects that are happening during the winter break, which is why we haven't sent out the list for y'all yet. But we are working on that, and we hope to have it in the next week or two.
That's one thing I was going to say, that we're compiling this list. It's really the first time that we've done this, but we decided, like, let's go ahead and get everything. So that's anything that facilities, that means facility services or FPC, are doing over the winter break. So y'all will know, you'll kind of be in the know so that you'll understand, like, if something happens, just like with Carrie. So if you see something and you think it might be impacting it, and that information always gets shared with Fix It, with the call center. But as I said, if you feel like you're not being heard, or it's not being understood, or somebody comes out, does something, and then they leave, and you're like, well, it's still the same, make sure you let the call center know that. But again, you're more than welcome to everybody should have my cell phone. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Again, I can't fix it, but I can at least maybe help escalate it or bring it to somebody's attention, like this is not getting resolved, so that you don't end up long term like that. Okay, so thank you so much. And so that was Jeff Benjamin, because he introduced himself as the executive director, but I just want to make sure Jeff Benjamin, and of course thanks to Mike Wheeler and Carl for bringing the update for the situation going on right now, and then of course what's coming in the winter. So without further ado, let's go ahead and Jean, are you ready to come forth? Lots of cords up here.
Awesome. Okay, and how does that? Should I just hit the down button on
You
the
can.
stand? Or do I want to do that? All right. Okay. Great. This is so delightful. It's already going to be a lot of fun to talk to business partners about planning. I'm Jean LaMontagne. I'm with the planning group at FDNC. But when I checked this morning, there are all these really cool people that we work with. They're all the part of the people who make facilities happen. And so we can kind of point fingers, as we go through this and see how this all kind of comes together. So we're going to talk a little bit about this upcoming survey effort. All right, on a user needs survey, which is the center bubble of those 5 red bubbles that appear on the left. Now this slide is a couple of years old. When we first rolled out a capital improvement plan in 2014-2015, we showed this slide, and some of you may have seen it before as part of that presentation. But what I like about the folks in this room is we can talk a little bit about all these things that end up in the ultimate goal of having a capital improvement plan. So go into the big bubble at the end. The capital improvement plan is a 5-year outlook about what the campus is doing. The buildings we want to build, why we want to build them, how they tie into the academic strategic plan, what money we can find to pay for them, and what projects must we build that address our facilities needs for existing buildings. So the first of the things that actually input into that decision process are the work requests. And we've lost some folks here. Jeff is still here. Carl is still here. The work request and the automatic controls messages that come from our smart buildings fill out that part of our facilities needs understanding that is very user-based. Okay, but this takes action on your part. Either you have to be in a building that tells you when it's not running hot or cold properly, or the lights are not coming on, or you have to be the person who dials the phone or files a fix-it request and says my roof is leaking, or tile is damaged somewhere. That all enters into the work requests. Every few years, and Nick Tamayo is here to talk about, he won't be talking about this today, but he will be part of this process. Every few years, we visit each of the buildings and decide what kind of condition the mechanical system is in. What does the roof look like? Are there any other facilities issues that are appearing? Have we still got asbestos in the building that maybe we can address this year? What's the water pressure look like? Has the electrical switchgear expired? All of those things get addressed. Hopping on down, utility infrastructure plan. Our folks over in facility services look into how to meet the needs of a growing campus. We obviously have utilities serving the campus. Much of it is 40 to 80 years old. Might cross our minds that some of that has to be enlarged and replaced. Part of that understanding of what's happening with is in the infrastructure assessments. So we'll come back to our user needs survey in just a minute. Put all of those things together, we decide what we need, we check it out against the academic plan, and we take it from there, and hopefully, if we can figure out a funding strategy, we put it into a 5-year plan. Okay. So now we're going to actually do the survey. So we contacted all the department heads on campus. And for some of the smaller groups, you might have gotten an email yourselves. Some of the larger groups, and public safety is one of them, it went directly to the top, and we said, who would you like us to contact? If we don't actually hear back from the person at the top, the emails will begin to filter down. This is a pretty simple survey, and it will help us get the information that will take us a little further. So we're going to switch to, she'll hit the escape button a few times. Okay. All right. So let's do the survey. Let's see what this is going to get. Contact information. May I have the name of your favorite Astro, please? Say again? Earl Anders? Verlander. Okay, gotcha. All right, you Bergman Verlander. And I'm going to claim him. I'm going to put him in FPC. Okay. Astros world champ. I never did learn to type, so. .uh.edu. What is its core function? Auxiliary. If you are an auxiliary function, do we have any auxiliary functions in here? Yes. Thank you. Okay. Housing, dining, or athletics? Oh, okay. Right, and this is what's so valuable about this, because how are you going to know what questions you need to ask if someone tells you so? All right. All right. Okay, so what category does that fall under? All right. So we're not entertainment. Student. But you're not. But if you're an auxiliary, you're not student. All right. So we need some adjustment on that. So at the moment, you're athletics. Go Astros. Okay. All right, so we have some questions about physical deficiencies, and basically this first question, which is pretty minimal, is to help you distinguish between what's a minor project and what's a capital project. So are there any physical deficiencies affecting your functionality that require routine maintenance items, broken window shades, loose hardware, sink drips, or other easily repaired items? Absolutely there are. Does anybody here work in a building that doesn't need some repair? Not our building. Okay. But see, those are the routine items. Okay, those are the routine. So we put that category off to the side. Now let's get down to something a little bit more important. Are there any physical deficiencies affecting your functionality that require deferred maintenance? Okay, so deferred maintenance is cumulative defects, such as widespread leaks. You know, these are things that go on for years. Okay, so you might have a broken ceiling tile. But now your building's 20 years old. ceiling tile hasn't been replaced in 20 years. And you have a lot of ceiling tile that needs to be replaced. In the case of the facility services building, general services building, we had asbestos ceiling tile until 3 or 4 years ago. These are things that creep up on you over time and have to be addressed. Does your HVAC fail routinely? So are there projects that require just a little bit greater thought than calling somebody down to tighten a project? And if that's the case, and this is probably the case for all of you except in a brand new building, although this building needs more signage, by the way, it's brand new, but it needs more signage because I walked around the chart. Okay, so if you check yes, if you are not in a brand new building, you check yes. You can check all of these that apply. What deferred maintenance would improve your functionality? Chances are you have a roof problem. You may have problems with your elevator not responding on time. Plumbing problems. You may not have water pressure for your fixtures. Or maybe this is actually, the plumbing problems, we have an ADA. I think there's another, what's our ADA? We have ADA either. Say, that is a darn good suggestion. Thank you very much. We'll put that down. Because we don't actually have escalators or dumbwaiters. We don't have hydraulic lifts sitting really, so I can think of. You have a hydraulic lift? All right. Is vertical transportation making sense? Elevators, etc. HVAC, fire protection. God knows we have fire protection. Okay. Electrical. I don't know. I know that. Carl. All right. So this building's probably going to end up needing just about everything. But okay. Side drainage. There are quite a few folks on campus that when it rains, they have to wade through the sidewalks near the building. Right? And some issues there. Structural issues. We have spalling on some of our buildings. Concrete falling off the structure. And maybe there's something else. Exterior walls or windows. You don't necessarily know what's leaking. Maybe you have air gaps. Maybe you can see the outside through your window gaps. All right. And maybe this is happening, and maybe we already know about it. We in the facilities group already know about it. If you check, are there any scheduled physical improvements, we would correct this. That's kind of the end of the study. If you say no, we're probably going to follow up. Okay. Are there any other improvements which should be added to support your function? Let's say yes. Okay. So this is where you get into things that are more out of the physical improvement or the physical repair side, and things that would help you do your job better. What improvements would start your function? How many of you could use additional square feet? How many of you need new paint? How many of you would really like to rearrange your offices so that you could, because your office rich but space poor, perhaps, so your classroom rich but your office poor. There are certain things that you could do to improve the use of your space. Your classroom technology dates from 1950. You still have a mimeograph machine and an overhead projector. Okay, maybe there's some stuff there you could use. Fill this all out. Okay, then we get down to the money question. What anticipated funds will pay for the improvements? And maybe you're lucky enough to have the money. I'd love to think that you do. And I'd love to think if that's not the case, then maybe there's a donor standing in the wings who's happy to come up with the $300,000 you need to do. Or maybe you want to come back to the university and ask for some funds. And we don't have, I think we took out an option here. We were going to put down university funds, and maybe that needs to come back and do this again, because impact funds can only be spent for deferred maintenance or capital renewal. So I'm thinking we ought to come back. Sorry? On ENG facilities. That's absolutely true. We should add that in. Okay. All right. So we've covered the routine maintenance, we've covered the deferred maintenance and capital renewal, and then are there any physical deficiencies involving your functionality that require capital improvements? And that's a long-term project involving new construction, renovation, or replacement characterized by large scale and large costs, like this building, $80 million, $45 million, something that might take a few months to plan and a number of months to build. And if that's the case, we ask you whether something expanding your current site, a brand new building, or a major renovation. Okay, and once again, where does the money come from? Okay, that's a really good question. No, and that is a really good question because I think if you're going to if you want to make a project out of it, be realistic. Okay, so we want to treat this as being project based. So you don't really want someone to come up and say, you said you needed a brand new building, and come over and they say, oh, this would be so nice. Have it be needs driven or program driven. And heaven knows there are a lot of program drivers out there that we need to be aware of and base our plans on. And then the last few questions are, how much you think you're going to grow? This is actually going to change. This will actually say 1 year and 5 years, not 3 years and 5 years. So if the president has told you that your group needs to double in the next 5 years, put that down. If you can't find the classrooms to put your folks in because your enrollment doubled and this last year was expected to double again, put that down. 5%, 10%. Last question. You want us to call you? Okay. So if you do that, we will call you and come visit you. All right. We like the sense. 2 questions need to be completed. Oh my gosh. Which ones? It says thank you. Okay, that's it. That's probably going to take you 5 minutes. Okay? All right, we're going to give you, I think, till the end of November to fill this out. And then you may hear later on today, maybe someone will give you an update on the needs assessment. But this will all roll together, and the information that's derived in its rawest form will be shared with the Board of Regents in May. And then you will see it as part of more of the comprehensive narrative-style master plan a little later on. Are there any other questions? Yes. Right, so we sent it to the deans and department heads, okay, and said, we think it's you, or we think, in the case of, in the case of public safety, we wrote to Malcolm Davis and we said, we think we should send this to Chris McDonald, to Joe Tremont, and to Cesar Moore. Please confirm with us if that's how you want us to develop the survey. And we've got a pretty good response rate. It's still not entirely clear where these will go. If we get, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Probably Monday. This coming Monday. So we can copy all of the business coordinators, so you can keep an eye on it. All right. I'm sorry. Copy the CVAs. The CVAs. All right.
And the building coordinator so that they know.
Okay. Now, we will absolutely do that. It may take us, because I'm not sure if we can get that entire list together by Monday, but it should be either Monday or very shortly after that we do it. Hopefully they will. Hopefully. And it could be that after we get the responses in, sometimes just say that it looks a little incomplete. Maybe we get a response from someone who says, here's an odd situation, this half of my responsibilities, they really need to be twice the size. I'm not worried about these guys. And I think maybe we could use a little bit more information on these guys over here. We might follow up. So we just kind of see. Now, when we put this out in 2015, we got about a 30% response rate. What was really interesting to me was that people wrote me long emails about things that they thought should be discussed in the survey and their own particular needs, and then they never filled the survey out. So it was good information, and we were able to kind of wrap it in informally. But kind of like buying lottery tickets, you got to be part of the process to be represented. So we don't expect 100% because I'm sure it's a short survey as you can possibly get. But if you will take the time to fill it out and you do indicate that there's a need, we'll come talk to you about it. Anything else? Oh, okay. So, oh, wow. Okay. So, Corinne can share, and I'm sorry, both the building coordinators? Or
I can handle the
building coordinators.
All right. Send it out to our listeners, the college and district.
Wow. Fantastic. Okay. Super. What else?
And you said it's going to go probably through the end of December, or
Excuse me, the end of November.
end of November.
Right. With a few friendly reminders. In the middle of it. Yes. Can do that. You're right. The first survey, which was a lot long, had a lot of detail like that in this. It was maybe a little too brief in some spots, so we'll put that in it. Okay. Great suggestions. Anybody else? If you think of something later on, or you go back and you find out there's a situation that's just arisen and it maybe should be reflected on this survey, just email me. Let me know so we can do it again. Anything else? Nope. Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jean. Okay, so next up we have Henry Anderson is going to talk about roof assessment, and he's going to be introduced by Jerry Bogna. And so while they're coming down, I'd like to take the opportunity. Liliana Simmons has asked me to introduce James Ballow. Wherever is James here? So James Ballow is recently returned to the university. We're very excited about that. He worked in facilities for a while, left for a while, and now we enticed him back. And he is an assistant director of campus services, correct? That's the correct one? Okay. So, anyway, let me go ahead and turn over the podium to Jerry and then to Henry, and they're going to talk a little bit about this roofing project that's coming up. Yes, while you're doing that.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Jerry Bogna, still the interim director of facilities maintenance, both preventive and corrective. And I was asked to introduce somebody that I think really doesn't need any introduction. He knows more of you than I do, and has been here a lot longer. But Henry Anderson interviewed and was found to be the best candidate. He's been hired as our preventive maintenance program director so far. Well deserved. So far, things are going really well. I mean, we talk about our preventive maintenance program. It's been years in development, and it's finally getting to a point where we're really starting to get things done. We are getting enough information about the campus and the components in all these buildings that need to be worked on and maintained in order to do a really good job going down the road. As Jeff said, we're looking long term here. That hadn't been done so much in the past, and we're really trying to move into a better position for the university for the investment that it has in all these facilities, and in order to make them last and get good value over time. So with that, I'll let Henry take it away. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Y'all gonna bear with me?
You want to
Oh, I'm good. So sorry.
so that make sure.
All right. Good morning again. Y'all kind of bear with me. I'm not a public speaker. Anyway, I just want to kind of go over our roofing assessments. Starting Monday, we have 3 firms, consulting firms, that's going to come in and actually do roofing assessments. Partially, it would be some envelope assessments done also, based on where we find leaks, what has been reported from Hurricane Harvey, past history of leaks in the building, and so on and so on. All 3 firms will be accompanied by 3 staff members on facility services staff. Also the consultants will be identified by either badge or some type of shirt, vest, or whatever to identify their firm rank. So if you see anyone that looks unfamiliar in the building, kind of walking around without any identification, we hope that's not anybody that's with the group that's doing assessments. This project is we're going to try to do an aggressive project. Hopefully to have it done before the Christmas break, so we can have all the information back somewhere early in January, if not before then. Let's see here. Part of the assessment will be drone surveys. I'm sure everybody familiar with drones now, so kind of new technology. But part of this will be drone surveys be done mostly at night, because they need to identify the moisture levels after the sun goes down and the roof starts to cool. In return to what that means is that all the areas on the roof that has moisture in them will actually show up on infrared cameras, so we will be able to see the differences in the roof. So right here are the 3 consulting groups that they'll be doing the assessments. Okay, and these are the zones that actually all 3 firms will be involved with. We have a list, and hopefully by close of today we'll have actually probably in the next few hours we'll have a schedule for the first few buildings that we'll be starting on next week, and then we'll update those as bi-week. And when the other part of that, we hope to try to not have any interference with your day-to-day operations. One of the things is that we need your help accessing space that we may or may not have a key to. So hopefully we'll try to give you at least a day or 2 day notice to be able to provide us access to those spaces. Yeah, I'll the slide. So other than that, I mean, it's going, like I said, it's going to be hopefully an aggressive schedule, but we do want to really take our time with this. This kind of ties back into Gene's information about capital investment or capital improvement plan. This is not just being done because of Harvey, but it's every few years, and Nick probably can speak on that. We do FCAs, facility condition assessments, but this one is particular for the roofs, based on leaks. And I know none of y'all have roof leaks, window leaks, and none of that, so hopefully this will move pretty fast. But any questions y'all have? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Well, I think, yeah, we should. And, I'm not sure.
that's been pointed out to. Okay. All right. Yeah, so,
Portion we have investigation. This yeah. Well, probably, the
sure. So, next. I don't want to. Right. So, there any other questions you might have? Like I said, we're going to try to get that information out as far as the building that we would start on next week today, and thereafter be on a weekly basis. But anytime y'all have any issues, just please feel free to contact Facilities Communications. They'll get that information to us, and we make corrections on those issues. And I hate Jerry to say that most of you all know me. Kind of tells my age and how long I've been here, but it's all good. I enjoy working with everybody. Yeah, Beverly, go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Approach her. All right. Thank you. So, Mr. Benjamin, when you hear that for raises,
Henry, you're too humble. You're too humble. Well deserved. I agree. Okay, so we're going to do one of my favorite parts of the meeting is the door prize. It's always a lot of fun.
Does everybody have tickets? Anybody need a ticket? Okay.
Okay, so it's 32571. 32571. Art. Okay, so we covered the winter electric outage. Okay, so Ron, you want to come up, Ron Harris, and come talk a little bit about the card access process, please.
Morning, everyone. I only have a couple things real quick. Number one, thanks to some approvals, we're hiring more people to assist you guys. I know it's been real tough over the last couple of years. Our department has been running very slim, just this slim guy here. So we are now hiring more people to assist you guys out. We have some programs coming up where we're going to need you guys to assist us. So since I've arrived, I think there's been a stigma that the building coordinators are the ones who control access to buildings, and that's the person to communicate with. And fortunately, that's not true, but the campus doesn't know that. So I've designed a building coordinators and building users guide. I want to share that with everyone. I'm waiting for the Chan's approval on it. But in doing that, I'm going to need it to meet everyone together. So I'm going to have to set up a meeting within the next week or two, have the users as well as the building coordinators in one room. Many times I get calls, and I contact the building coordinator. They didn't know what I was talking about, any questions. So we've now divided the campus as far as access control for different zones. We've also added the minimal standard for assigning access to someone, which you guys will now have that written in policy to follow. With that being written, we also now have an audit trail that we're going to associate with the users who actually assign access. Right. So also we're working on a website right now where this is going to streamline the process for requesting access or requesting changes within the access control system. I want everyone to understand that we do not assign access. Right? We don't care who you assign access to, but there is a minimal standard that everyone has to meet. So we've defined that now based on a huge assessment that we did across this campus that's taken over a year to do. We're continually adding access control across the campus. As you guys know, on all exterior doors, we thought that it was going to be very difficult to get everyone to change this cultural outlook as far as using keys. But I can honestly tell you guys, you guys have helped us with this process, and it's been great. I've had very minimal negative response from us taking those keys away. And we're going to do that now to all card readers inside of every building. So just throw that out there real quick. But I tell you guys, we've moved from Basis to Linnell, as most of you know. In that process, we have experienced some difficulties, and we're working on it on the back end. But I can assure you, you guys can almost tell me right now, you guys hadn't experienced the difficulties that I've experienced, because we did everything we could in phase one to ensure the effect is not on you guys, but on us. I've spent 170 hours on conference calls since we did the upgrade, because the back end process is still not there yet. But I'm working on them. We've now added email communication where we can email you guys reports directly. We can email you guys access rights and access permissions directly. We can schedule them. We've also moved everyone to Kubernetes, which meets the security protocol for the university. We have also added in the ability to assign access via the web portal versus having to have the client on your PCs. I have not pushed that out to you guys yet, but it will be coming real soon, which means that now you guys can do this from home. Yeah, I know. I'm working. I'm working now. You guys make sure you email Malcolm Davis. I need a raise. The other thing that we're going to do, guys, and I'm so happy to know that you're on board, because the next thing we got to figure out is how do we fix the system that you guys have to deal with daily, which means we have to get a preventative maintenance schedule in place. And I have had this conversations with our lock shop. I've had this conversation with the new executive director as soon as he came in. The first meeting we had, I asked for a lot, so glad he's in the room. I'm going to repeat myself. The other thing, too, and the last thing I have, guys, is that when you guys need changes done in the access control system because it's just me, please stop emailing me. There is a process. It's called Fix It. Put in the Fix It work order, guys. We use that. We track it. These guys track it. And we can see when the request was made. Because I will tell you, I get millions of emails daily, and I'm sorry. If I can't get your email, I can't apologize anymore. Use the Fix It please send the request through. And also, I have had many of surveys that come to me, so they are doing the surveys, and I get them, and I have to reply. Right, so please, guys, use the Fix It asking for time changes, reader changes, time zones, programming, as well as training. So I just had a huge training. I was about 35 people showed up. I think it was one of our best trainings we've had because I've redesigned the whole training agenda. Within the next year, we will move training online, so you guys don't have to see my face at all. So that's where we are. Any questions? Okay. So I did not want to go there yet, but it's out. Yeah, the word's out. So another thing that we're working on the back end, guys, is we are, and they're not in the room, I don't believe, any of the people on the committee. So from the Coup Card office, we have had, we've actually, we have two new vendors on campus that will be working. One is going to be the smart card integration. We are going to have a smart card that we're going to integrate to the campus within the next year. That smart card will have a chip on it. It will be a proxy card. It will allow our students to have a better process in paying for their meals and also cross our system. Yes, it will. Now this is going to be a huge and dramatic change to the campus. I will tell you. If you do not have a proxy reader, then we're not changing that immediately. That would cost us over $500,000 to change out every swipe reader on campus. However, you guys have noticed that we have deployed the dual multi-class readers across our campus on our exterior doors, which is the Prox as well as the MagStripe card. The new cards will still work with the MagStripe, right? And everyone won't get a new card immediately. It will be a assertive process, and we would do it by attrition. So, that is true, but it's going to take us a lot of time to get that where we want it to be. The smart cards that we're going to use will also allow you guys as well as our students to use dining facilities outside of just the university, where you can use the same exact card. You can add money to it. It's going to allow you to request. Yeah, I know, right? So there's a lot of things that's working, guys. There's an advisory committee that I sit on that we're working through these processes. So yes and no. But we are working on that, and this probably will not happen until 2018. So August 2018, hopefully 19. And if it doesn't work, then I won't be here. I'm very afraid of this. Yes, ma'am. So Sunday. So no, it's not. Yes, please. So what we're planning, we know about the outages coming too. I'll just mention that real quick. We're planning to the day before the outage hits, the night before, we're planning on removing the access control away from the power. We're planning on killing the power on the access control device. We're going to have to work with FPNC to ensure that once we kill that power, that no one is going to need access, because no one will be able to get in except FPNC and police. They don't have to have a key to get in those buildings. So when these events happen, instead of us allowing our access control panels to stay connected and maybe experience a hit, we're going to disconnect power from them totally, where we won't have to experience that type of event. And we'll work with FPNC to make sure that we bring you guys back up immediately as soon as everything is resolved. So Sunday, we're a little prepared. I will say that. Just a little. Thanks for bringing it. So, along with so I misspoke earlier. There's only one element that we have not been able to tie in the new system with in this process, and it's been the iLocks. We have them working. We have them functional. However, we are still experiencing some difficulties with having the iLocks communicate and work. Now, Jeremy, who has more iLocks than anyone on campus, we met. We fixed the problem that he had. I know in student in the child care facility, there's a bad iLock there. It is an exterior iLock device. The company did not make an exterior iLock device until now. We're waiting on them to send us a couple of iLock devices to replace those exterior iLocks, and then hopefully once we do that, we're in beta testing. They're in beta testing with it. We're going to be the first campus or the first company to actually have those out. So we've been pushing that, and as soon as we get one in stock, I'll ensure our facilities guys can get out there and replace that for you, and we'll see how that works. So here, this is very big. I believe everyone who's on this campus should have a cool card. That's me. That's just me from a security aspect. I don't believe we should have people walking around our campus and we don't know and we can't identify who they are. Right? I just don't. It creates an unsafe environment. It does not help us mitigate risk. It doesn't help our security officers to patrol correctly. It doesn't help our PD to respond. So if you have a parent and they are coming to get a child, we have a POI process that is in place that you can get them a POI and a card. And I would push that. And here's the thing, guys. We are moving to having and this was approved by the Board of Regents, and it was Dunn Guyton was happy that our department brought this up to him and he could present to the Board of Regents. But we're moving to have a public hour for this entire campus, which means that we're going to be able to control the doors across campus at a time that's associated with when the building is actually in use versus having buildings open till 11:30 at night, right? And we have people walking around the buildings, and which doesn't allow the security and the PD to do their job, right? Because when we have people just walking around buildings and we can't identify them, and we don't know when the building should be locked and closed, we don't know when the dean is moving a research area, it puts us at risk, right? And it puts everyone here at risk. So as we move forward, our goal is to do things that are a direct effect at protecting our staff, student, faculty, and assets. And again, it's not convenience. It's going to be mostly based upon security and safety. So if you have people on campus that are working in any one of your departments, that are your vendors or contractors, please do a POI for them and get them a card. Because here real soon, they will not be able to access these buildings after specified times because we will secure those buildings. And that's just where we're going, guys. We have to get there. So we've classified buildings in 5 arenas: academic, and I don't have this in front of me, guys, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you all 5 of those. I have short-term memory loss. But we've classified those buildings, and we are aware that we have areas that are more open than others. Indiana's library, the Welcome Center itself, sometimes they have longer hours. The UC as well as the rec center. So we know that we've taken that into consideration. A lot of you guys manage your buildings yourselves, but it will mostly be the hours that you guys publicly announce to everyone when we have to deal with you guys. But what this does for us is that it allows us to strategically now put security officers in those areas, because now they don't have to be in an area where a building is wide open. Right. And what we do also, we take the data from the access control system that shows usage and usability of doors, card swipes, as well as people going in and outdoors based off the Rex motion, being able to get that event, and we can see the data that supports where most traffic and events are happening at specific times of day. So we can take that data, we can associate that data to areas that need more control officers, areas that need more people there because of the traffic that's there. So we're doing our due diligence on the back end to collect that data, put that data in front of of Caesar Moore, Chief of Police, as well as Malcolm Davis, AVP of Campus Safety, so that we can use that data to associate peak personnel and security. That's why you're going to sit on our committee, and it's almost done. so these type of things are things that I can't always think about, right? And I don't know everything that happens across this campus daily. I'm just not that intuitive and don't have that intelligent. So pardon my ignorance, but this is why we need you guys to tell us, hey, well, this is something I don't think you guys were able to visualize because of the usability in this area, right? So we need you guys to assist us in making sure that we have the necessary security and safety preventative things in place so that we won't have any type of errors that we miss. So if you guys help us out, send us that information. Trust me, we'll add that into our plans. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. We'll rise again. Um, 32571. Is that one I just called? Okay.
What's the
It's 32571, and that's 32571. Oh, maybe they're all 32571. 32577. 577. Come on down. Woohoo! All I'm going to tell you is, Roland Bourquet is out on FM leave, so he couldn't be here this morning. But all I'm going to do is just say that normally we would have had the key audit start. I think it was scheduled to start the 1st of October. It's going to be deferred back. It's the annual key audit, so I'm just really letting you know that it'll be coming. You might send a notice out in December. I'm not sure if we do it in December. We'll start it in December, and then it might go through February. But it's the annual audit, and so I just wanted to mention that here. So I want to keep us on track and on time. So one of the things that we have everybody knows you can report things, work order requests through Fix-It. Well, but there are times when we have concerns, customer concerns. Certainly, sometimes customer comments and compliments. We love to hear good things. But what we ended up doing was actually developing we have it on our Fix-It site, and I apologize, I had it open earlier, but then we had to shut things down. So let me pull it up. Okay, so what you'll see here is it's our Fix-It page, and it's really easy to get to. It's uh.edu/Fix-It. So that's the URL. Obviously, so we have the Fix-It page, and it has really good information about the 4 ways to fix it, which we've had that program for some time now. But you'll see over here on the side this little right-hand nav bar area. And so this isn't for you to go out and request work. You still need to submit those through Fix-It, one of the 4 ways to fix it. Please continue to do that. And even as Ron was saying, when you have access issues. This is really designed for how you would rate our service, and then if there's additional information that you would like to know. So like you can rate the service based on 4 or excellent. Hopefully it's always a 4 or 5. Then you can come down here and then give some information. How can we improve our service? We'd love it if you give your name, your PeopleSoft number, but definitely the name and your email is required. What your affiliation is. And then please feel free to fill in comments and concerns, because that's where you can maybe So we'll get these where somebody has noticed one of our technicians out and has done a great job, and so this is a great place for you to share that information. If there's other issues that are going on that you feel like, so after the fact, Carrie, you know, if you're like, I really want to report that this was one of my concerns, that we reported it, but they kept sending someone and we're still dealing with the issue, you'd still continue to work to fix it. However, this is a great place for y'all to put, you know, things that didn't maybe go so well, things that you feel like would be beneficial for us to address. And as has been commented, the more we have of this, then we can begin to track, so where are maybe some gaps in some of our services.
Well, you can. I get a lot of emails every day. And,
You and Ron.
Yeah.
Ron already did that.
Yeah.
But I would just add, I don't mind if you go on there and give us a warning.
That's true.
But if you don't tell us what we did, we can't fix it. So if you give us a 1 or a 2 or whatever, please tell us how we earned that score.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to happen again, and you're just going to get more angry at us. I've got really thick skin. I appreciate it.
It is really helpful. I mean, you know, and even if it's, you know, like I said, if it's a really good report and you know the name of a technician or a situation, please share that. But I will also say, if there's a situation where we have someone in your building who is maybe not, has done something that you don't feel is appropriate or just not good service, let us know. It's not like that's going to be, it would become a coaching opportunity in any of these situations.
We have extra.
So you only get the work order survey when it's been completed. And yes, we like you to fill that out as well. And that's very specific to the how you logged on or how you surveyed us. And then it does get to some of the level of service, satisfaction with service. We get a lot of these, I'll tell you, so like a parent sometimes will use these, or somebody will go in and say, my daughter has roaches in her residence home. That person might not necessarily know to do a fix-it request. We would hope the student did. This is a great place for escalating issues if you feel like, so it did get reported to fix it, but it's still not resolved. It's just an additional way for you to give us some information. It goes directly to the facilities communication inbox, and then Jennifer and I triage them and either like follow up as far as, you know, contact back with the customer to let them know we received it, thank you for it, and then sharing it with the fix-it, Jeff and Mike, like here's the situation. And sometimes we don't know, but we might have to say, we've had this concern. What do we do? You know, who should be able to address it? It's just an effort because there's so many of y'all, meaning y'all as far as staff and faculty and students. The more avenues we have to try to capture information and make our services better, that's what we want to do. I mean, we have a very active web page, we have very active social media. I work daily with Central Media when they get dings and comments, good and bad, on the UH Twitter page. It's very active.
Isn't that so? Everybody likes to say he does stuff. This is an opportunity to go to the internet, put the post on, and somebody will actually get it and respond to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just another way, another tool for us to be able to gather some information. And again, you know, when we have I got a phone call from a professor who had said one of our team members had been very helpful to them during Harvey. And so we would just take the information and pass it on to the supervisor. But I asked her, I said, if she would go to the trouble to fill this out, it makes it a little more official. If they don't do that, I can always go in and fill it out for them so that we have that information. But, you know, we're all very data-driven, and so this is just another piece of data to try to really help. And this is not just for facility services. This is for anything that any comment you have about anything in facilities, we're really open to hearing about it. So, I'm sorry, I keep hooking myself on things here. So does anybody have any questions or understand? So like continue to go to Fix It. That is the official work request site, and that's how we will get your service request taken care of. But this is just additional. You know, if y'all as building coordinators, you have something you suggest, I'm happy to hear it. Okay. Let me get back down to where we were. Sure, I'm sorry. Yeah. We might not see it. So if it's going to fix it, I work with our supervisor. I work with those folks very closely, and I can make sure that they follow up. And that's one of the things that I've been coaching them with, like, you know, do a follow up. If it means calling someone or just checking, and then maybe following up, like, have we satisfied your requirement? Again, to me, that would be a great place if you want to send that to me. I mean, you can always email me directly, just like others have said, but this actually puts it in a maybe a more trackable way. And like everybody else, I don't get thousands of emails. I get a lot of emails, and I don't want to let something like that trickle down and not get covered. Certainly, I would hope that Fix It would address it, but if they don't, and especially in a case like this where it wasn't yours, but it was someone else's. Yeah. Then it just stays. I'd have to check on it. It may be one where it is either sitting in cyberspace still. They just may not deal with it. If it's requiring a signature and a call center does have a log that they check on daily to see, and they'll follow up. In other words, like if it's something that they're not getting approved, so they might catch it there. Yeah. It's not mine. Yeah. And so hopefully they'll do that and follow up on it. But again, you know, part of what my job is to try to help make their service better. And so if there's things like that, and while that's maybe just one or two things, it stays on, you know, it could stay on in your mind or on your to-do list, and it's one more thing you may have to follow up on. And so we don't want you to do that, whether it was yours or not. You're still our customer. So please let me know. Yeah, yeah. Well, and some of it, yeah. We don't want that confusion, and I don't want something not to get approved ever. Yeah.
This isn't.
No, because they do watch it. They watch it very closely so that we can close things out. But some of that also was to try to get the building coordinators involved, because sometimes when call center doesn't have any luck resolving it, our hope is that the building coordinator will know who that person is, and they can say, okay, you need to go out and do that. So these were several avenues, but we want to make sure that it still gets resolved. It's frustrating. It's a little frustrating. Yeah. And it could be that it's just cued you or picked you because you're the building coordinator, and the other person maybe is being delinquent or slow or whatever in a group. But please always let me know. Yeah. So the Fix-It is still 24/7, but the call center is staffed and manned from 6:30 or 6 or 6:30 to a.m. to 11 p.m. At 11 p.m. it transitions to Central Plant. Central Plant is still taking calls, still addressing things, and they will dispatch. So like if it's a bodily fluid or something that needs to be addressed, they know they're being trained to dispatch it appropriately or accordingly, and then it gets picked up by call center the next morning. It's entered into the system. They're entering it, yes. But our supervisor, Carla Tisby, who was going to try to be here this morning, but something happened back at call center, she actually has been training the Central Plant. And I want to say again, I appreciate so much that Jeff Benjamin and Mike Wheeler have really allowed us to do this, so that we don't have people sitting there all night long. They have stationary engineers, or they have staff who have to be there 24/7. It's kind of going back the way it was, but we appreciate that they're working with us. Some issues cropped up because some of the guys didn't know exactly what to do in certain circumstances, so, pardon me. Yeah, new staff, new stuff. So, call center staff, the supervisor is training and working with them, and so we've gotten a couple of issues that came up, but know that while they're not really truly doing the famous piece of it, they're just carrying Fix-It forward. But then my staff comes in the next morning, and so that's one of the first things they do is get whatever happened overnight. They're feeding it into, they'll go ahead and log it in into Fix-It. So if you ever see something that's kind of out of whack, then let me know. Wondering how it works. So then there was a duplicate. Good. Awesome. So we hope it is seamless. It should be seamless, but it's like with any new program, any new process, sometimes there's just a few bumps. And so call center realized they needed to work with some of the new staff and some of the Central Plant just so that they're equally trained. I just want to go, so emergency communication methods. One of the things I want to touch briefly on is, so, you get your daily building emergencies. We try to get that information out as soon as we get them. Jennifer and I work really diligently to try to think of any other additional way that we can communicate with you as often as possible, get information to you, and then get it back. Those things happen sometimes. Jennifer actually implemented we put in a request based on some other building coordinator requests for 2 weeks notice before, so any planned outage, we are really requesting that they get the information to us within 2 weeks prior to it. It doesn't always happen, and there are ones sometimes that aren't emergencies, they're immediate, but something has to be done. So we're trying to help y'all so that you can in turn get the information, get it communicated out to your buildings, to your users, because we realize when you get stuff at the last minute, it's hard. So we work on that, trying to get information out. You know, we'll take it as early as 2 or 3 weeks prior to an outage, and some of that has created opportunities for training for project managers, for our services folks. You know, to sort of think ahead of just like these guys do with the winter outages. You know, so they've been talking about this now for months, and it's planned. And so, as much information as we can get out to you as possible, we strive to do that every day. There are those ones that are emergencies. We have no control over that, obviously, because the water's pouring out of someplace. And we do have immediate ones where it's not an emergency, but something still has to be done. The winter break contact list. So I need to make sure that everybody has my cell phone and that I have everybody's cell phone, because there are going to be multiple things going on the winter break. You'll have more information about that. Sometimes facility services, when when the electric outage is finished, we can send an all clear. There's no way right now that I know of. I'm sure there's a program out there where I can send something out, a text to like all building coordinators, but right now I don't know. Sometimes what we do is we send an email to everybody, and then where buildings are impacted, like with Moody and some of these ones that have been ongoing, and it may be 2 a.m., 3 a.m., where we'll say like, okay, so the outage is fixed, or this is going on, or hey, you have an outage, please go read your email. I don't know that everybody reads their emails when they get home. I don't know. But if you, we have the vast majority of y'all's cell phone numbers. But if you are new, so like Lynn, you're new, I just need to make sure I get yours so that you can have mine, because really, truthfully, if something's going on, I keep my phone by my head so I can hear if there's issues. And certainly when there's things like residential areas where you've got students and there's no heat in a building, or there's no air conditioning in a building, or all the water's been shut off. So just please I just want to make sure that I have ways to contact you. It's going to be really important because Jennifer's going to be out of the country during the winter break, so it will definitely be me. And so I want to make sure that I can contact y'all. I've done it with Mark and Susan. There have been times where on a weekend or late at night, something's gone on or it's been resolved. So I don't want anybody to ever feel like they can't contact me, but if please don't. You don't have to do it at 3 a.m., but I'll get to it eventually. And if you keep texting me, then it'll ping me and make me wake up. That's our level of commitment to y'all. And I just want to say, because as I listen to everything that gets put on y'all's plates as building coordinator, what I heard today, so I just want to say thank you again for all that you do. I would say not specifically, no. They go out to many listservs. It's the outage notification, which a lot of our building coordinators, it's my understanding, they use it to post in the buildings. They have listservs within their buildings. It kind of depends on the outage, to maybe answer your question, because some things, I know that people are commenting to the U of H listserv, so I'm careful with, we're always very careful with our messages so that we don't make people throw up their hands. This is good. But we can have an offline conversation about it. There's always ways, again, and that's why if there's things that y'all know of, and I will say real quickly, so we sent out a message about the current situation with the chilled water. It went to the building coordinators, I happened to find out that there were some folks who said they hadn't gotten anything from their building coordinator. They didn't identify, and I don't know that it's anybody in this room, and it could just be people who are busy, and they may not be able to get the message out. So I'm trying to think of other listservs that we can send information to. We just added staff council, who our current president, staff council president, Ruben Parrish, is here this morning. just ways that we can get the communication out. We can send out that, is it UHE-COM? We have the ability to do that, but that's really meant for, I think, more emergency situations. But I'm always open to other listservs if there's things that you know of that we can use. We have a building coordinator listserv, and our building coordinators do a great job of getting the information distributed. I try to do both. So, like with Moody, I would contact Mackenzie. We've included James Aguano, even though he's not a building coordinator, but he's a very key contact. For Moody, it was Avis. Are you Avis by any chance? Okay. And so I know I got the away message because we'd send an email. The call center sends an email. What I do is then I follow up with a text message. So you and Mackenzie both responded back, and I love that because it's just like, I know, like, okay, everybody's getting the message. Carrie has done that. It just helps me know, like, okay, so they got the text message. Sometimes we put more information in the text message, especially if it's like water's fixing to be cut off, but go read your email if you can. And then again, you can text back. But we have that red and white phone number, and I text it, and so my assumption is I don't know if they can accept. Okay. Anything that will help us communicate, especially in residential buildings, not that, it's just because that's their home. And when things like, again, that there's no heat or the water, because the North Tower, I think all the water was cut off and it was the plumbing was clogged up. Any way I can help get information, because I realize, yes, you're the building coordinator, and Mackenzie and James, it's like, you may not be right there by your phone. And so I just want to make sure in all situations when there are drastic things like water being cut off or some services, please let Jennifer and I know what else we can do that can communicate, especially to them. But I do appreciate it. I want to tell you, I did like it because you were writing back, and that was really helpful. And I'm like, okay, so they're aware and know what's going on. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions about any of that, or Jeff, do you have anything you want to add? Or? Awesome. Again, we're trying to help y'all make your jobs easier, and especially, again, like at 2 a.m. in the morning. What we're trying to eliminate on the weekend is, and one of the reasons we started getting cell phones from people was that y'all wouldn't come in on a Monday morning. We had one situation where the building coordinators came in on a Monday morning, and a basement in a building had flooded. They didn't know, so they couldn't let the people in the basement, so the poor users in the basement come in. We had sent an email, Jennifer or somebody had sent multiple emails to the two building coordinators. They didn't see them until they came in Monday morning. So it's like, okay, we need to have a way to communicate to people outside of that. And even though we may not put all the information in the text, we at least want to say, like, please go check your email because there is really important information, or there is a water leak, so on and so forth. I want to wrap this up really quickly. We have one more door prize, but one of the things I just wanted to share really quickly was about Harvey. Y'all were very beneficial. I know we sent that email, like calling all building coordinators, when the university said people could come in, I think on that Saturday and Sunday before school started again on the 5th, Sunday and Monday. I heard from a bunch of y'all, and that information that you sent back to us helped. Like, I would take your information and I forwarded it to Fix It, and that helped get some information early on in your buildings. Y'all know your buildings better than we do, you probably know where some of the problem areas may be, but that was very, very beneficial. But I want to talk quickly, and I mean quickly because we've got 3 minutes. The facilities response, we started once everybody, well, we had a ride-out team that was here that rode out the entire storm. So from that Friday until the 29th, 28th maybe of August. It's Wednesday morning. 30th or whatever. But anyway, they were here the entire time. They were out on campus assessing. We got lots of photos from them during sort of a quick assessment as much as they could. Once people were able to get to campus, which was long before the 5th when school opened again, we had facilities folks back, I think to the tune of like 85 and 90% of our workforce, maybe even more. If they could, close. If they could get here, then they were here. And they worked hard just to try to get into the buildings. I know one batch or some folks kind of started replacing ceiling tiles. There were specific things. We had a triage group. FPC was helping Facility Services. So they went through initially did the damage assessment. There was a quick assessment, and then there was a much more in-depth. The commitment of our staff is something we're really proud of, and our leader, David Oliver, has called them Harvey Heroes. And then there was a coordinated response. Just quickly, these are a tip of the iceberg, but I don't know how much y'all saw of any damage photos, but you can see where the one down here at the underground, I think, satellite, that's how much sheetrock and junk had to be torn out. This one down here, the auditorium, that's what Agnes Arnold Auditorium looked like. They had to rip out the carpet, and then one of the photos shows where they were, I guess, trimming up or felling the trees that were impacted out in front of Cougar Woods. Then these other shots, like I said, just to show you, so the shininess of those photos is that's water on the ground. And then the one in the middle where water was leaking in the walls. I mean, y'all lived in it, you saw it, but there's so many more, but just for the purposes of this. And I was actually working on a Board of Regents presentation that had some of the same information. And then quickly, so the progression was that as we did these assessments, and they went through, and so they meaning Facility Services and FPC, determined what buildings were ready for occupancy, that there was some remediation required, and then some that were just not ready for occupancy. And this was a map that was developed. So the red buildings there were ones that were they were not operational. They weren't ready to have people come back in. And again, this was all being done at the end of August, leading into the return. The yellow buildings partially operational, and the green ones were considered to be operational and ready for the users to come back. And then I said, David Oliver named all of our folks Harvey Heroes. So the picture up in the upper right is our ride-out team, the ones who literally, they were on cots, they camped out on campus, they couldn't leave, and they were here for the entire time. They were finally, I think the ride-out team was released. They could go home and get some rest. And then the picture up there in the upper left-hand corner is facilities planning and construction. Again, they were here too. They were helping triage buildings, helping just kind of assess, and it spread the assessment. And then the bottom picture is those that happen to be in that location, I guess, are pulled together so that actually Jeff Benjamin took the photograph. I share these just because it is because of the staff, the commitment of our staff that really helped make this, for this horrible storm, it helped get the campus back ready to go for all of y'all and your students. And so I don't have anything else to say. I've talked enough, and like I said, I'm trying to really keep this on time. We covered a lot this morning. Appreciate everybody being here. We have one more door prize to give out. And if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them, but you can always shoot me an email. Oh yes, we have training next week. Building coordinator, our annual training, it's going to be the 10th. And is it in this book? And it's actually in here too. So, and everyone's invited. So whether you've been a veteran building coordinator for a while, you're welcome to come back. And then for our new building coordinators, it's 2 hours. And then I think we're going to feed you lunch or give you some food or something. So We'd love to have you show up, and we'll be back in this room next Friday at 9 o'clock. We have one more. And then, Ray, you had a question? Or did 32563. Yes, 563. Woohoo!